Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Connecting Highline and our region.
History, cultural heritage, art, performances, contemporary pop culture.
We collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people.
We want to embrace our differences and similarities.
We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Hi everyone, this is Nancy from the Highline Heritage Museum, and welcome back. We're really excited about our guest tonight. She is super cool, and I'm excited to hear more about who she is. But in the meantime, what I would like to share is why are we doing this project? Why are we sharing the stories? Is because that's the mission of the museum. Our mission is to tell everyone's stories and also make sure that we are as accessible as possible. There's a lot of communities that don't go into museums and for many different factors. And so we want to make sure that we are inclusive in that mission and in telling everyone's stories in many different formats. And so today our format is via an interview and via radio. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself and then we'll take it from there. Before we start, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing us to do this interview with you. Just really, really appreciative of that.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and the Heritage Highline Museum for having me. My name is Jessica Alexanderson, aka Scuba Jess, and I am the president of Scrap University Kids and a local scuba diver here in the Puget Sound area. And I love your museum.
Yay. Yeah. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about who you are and then the work that you do when you started. I mean, scuba diving is, I'm sure it's very interesting. And then we went right in the Puget Sound area. And yeah, just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Oh, sure. So I've actually been moving west my whole life. I was actually born in New York City and moved to Utah when I was 5. So I grew up in the country in Utah, and then I got to come out here to Seattle in 2008 for work. I used to work at Evergreen Shipping. So the big, huge container ships that go out of the port of Tacoma and up in Seattle. So I did that for 15 years, and that's what got me up to the Pacific Northwest. And it's just so beautiful, and I loved all the water, the trees, and the mountains. And I'm like, I need to move here. And so I got lucky enough to get the job up in the Bellevue office, and 6 months later they actually closed the Salt Lake office down, so it was like perfect timing. And the world of shipping is very high stress. It's just crazy, like imports, exports, there's always some sort of crazy disaster going on somewhere in the world. And so to de-stress, I actually started scuba diving after I met my friend. I met him at an Irish pub, and I didn't even know you could go scuba diving here. I just always thought it was like warm water, like tropical turtles and Hawaii and stuff. And he's like, no, you get a dry suit. We go every week. And I'm like, isn't it so cold? But yeah, no, I got a dry suit and I started diving in 2014, and I was hooked. It was like the coolest thing ever in my entire life. And it was like the thing I was missing. I always knew I was like missing my passion, and I didn't know what it was. And I'm like a big, huge Star Trek fan, big Trekkie. I love to go to concerts and comedy shows, but there was always like something missing. And then as soon as I was just diving and underwater, being able to breathe, it was just so relaxing and peaceful. And the fish will just swim right up to you, and the crabs walk by, and it's like just magical. And we have like the coolest sea creatures around, like just beautiful animals down there. And so yeah, I got hooked.
I need to learn that experience. I need to experience that. And so the only scuba diving reference that I have is through photography. And I know that you love photography, and I know that you take photography. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so my boyfriend dive buddy, I call him the big fish, Eric, he's been diving for like over 20 years, and he takes the most amazing photos. And so as soon as I started diving, I was like, ooh, I want to borrow your camera. I want to take some pictures because I love to take pictures on land. And he's like, I'll let you borrow my camera after 100 dives so that you have like all your skills dialed in, because as soon as you get that camera, like your buddy skills go out the window, like you stop looking at how much air you have left, like you just start taking pictures of sea creatures and you forget that you're underwater. Yeah. So like he's like, make sure you get that all dialed in. So after 100 dives, he started letting me use his camera, and then like it was like my whole life changed. And just like I would just try to take a picture of every single sea creature, like if I didn't know what it was, and then I could go back and look at my camera and reference it and go through all the guidebooks. And we have some pretty amazing marine biologists in the area that have made some really cool books, and so you can go through and see the sea creatures. And then I'm always like, oh, I found something nobody's ever seen before. Wow. And then I go find it in the book. I'm like, okay, never mind, because I would love to name like a sea creature like something cool, like Star Trek name. But yeah, so I started doing underwater photography and just taking pictures of all the animals and just trying to raise awareness of what we see down there and those just beautiful animals, and they need our help. And then I also started, unfortunately, noticing so much trash in our oceans, like garbage everywhere, and cans, bottles, so much plastic, forks, knives, spoons, straws, cigarettes, like the e-vapes lately, or those vape pens are everywhere. And it's just never ending. A lot of shoes. And so I also try to raise awareness of like the good stuff and the bad stuff and how people can help, because everybody can help. The simplest thing you can do to help our oceans is if you see any kind of litter on the side of the road, and especially if it's near a storm drain or on a beach, just pick it up. Like, I know it's kind of gross, but just pick it up. If it's like you can't recycle it, put it in the garbage can. If it's a can or something you can recycle, save it, put it in a recycle bin. It's really not that hard. And that is like a huge way to help our animals.
Yeah, there's I think not just an animals, nature, us, all of us, I think is everyone gets a benefit of when we do contribute to more clean and be aware of our environment. I think that we will get the benefit of it. We live better and our quality of life is much better. I met you through the Environmental Science Center. They introduced us, and I know that the work that they do is just absolutely amazing. In fact, I'm gonna go with them right after this meeting.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. And so I know that the work that you've done, and then collecting those beautiful photos that I would like to learn more about and then see. And then also you have this environmental spirit in you, and you've been writing books.
Yeah. So after working at Evergreen Shipping for 15 years, I just am like, I learned a lot. I learned about a lot how the world is working, but I didn't really feel satisfied. Like I knew the oceans needed our help, and I can't save them by myself. But I'm like, I need to do something about this. Like,
Yeah.
like everybody is, the government's talking about doing things at 10 years from now, 15 years from now, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to wait around for people to vote on this. Like, let's just take action now. And so I called up one of my customers at Evergreen, one of my favorite customers, and I was like, hey, are you hiring? And he's like, I would hire you in a minute to run my shipping department, but is that what you want to do with your life? And I'm like, no, I've done that already, like been there, done that. I want to do something to help our oceans and help our planet, and I know it has to start with kids. And he is like, that's so crazy that you said that, because I have two daughters, Ellie and Lexi. They were 6 and 3 at the time,
Okay.
and they love unicorns. And he had this story idea written for our first book called The Girl Who Recycled 1 Million Cans. And it's about a little girl named Ellie who loves unicorns, and she finds out she gets money for the cans. Cans she recycles. And so she decides she wants to recycle 1 million cans so she can buy a unicorn. So she gets her whole school involved. All of her friends want to get a unicorn. It's just a really fun, happy book. And so he basically was like, I am going to hire you to run our kids. Well, first of all, we're going to start a kids division of his company, and I'm going to hire you to be the president and to run it for me. So
Oh, wow.
I just kind of created this dream job of mine. I don't even know how I got so lucky. And so the company is Brad Rudover, who is my customer, and he is a metal recycler. He's been in the metal recycling industry for like over 40 years. He grew up in Detroit, and his dad owned a scrapyard. And so he loves to just teach people, like, never throw your metal in the garbage. All metal has value. It can be recycled at a scrapyard, and they'll actually pay you for it. And then his best friend's wife, Shazia, is a school teacher up in Canada. And so it's the three of us, the school teacher, the scuba diver, and the metal recycler. And we like teamed up to write kids' books to teach kids about recycling in a really fun way. And yeah, we did it through books, because we always like to say to kids that once you learn how to read, you can do anything. And so and then, also another really fun random fact, since we're here in Washington, Seattle, Washington area, I actually reached out to Pearl Jam, which is a pretty famous band from Seattle, and they were willing to let us use their little logo for the stick man on Ellie's shirt. They had me donate some money to a charity for young writers in Seattle, which was so cute. And so that was really nice of them. So that's a little tie into the Pacific Northwest. And our book, we like to focus on like recycling, community, math, financial literacy, perseverance, sharing, teamwork, and donating. So like there's a lot of really good, important lessons for kids in our books too. It's not just a fun bedtime story. Like they're actually going to learn a lot of really interesting things in a fun way. And so like you could read these books to pretty young kids, and as soon as you're done reading it to them, they're instantly going to start looking for cans to recycle. So like a lot of fun, and like little kids want to help our planet, and it's just like a really fun, easy way for them to get involved. And then we actually just wrote our second book. So we're going to do a series of 4 books to start to show the complete circle of metal recycling. So the first book was about cans. The second book, Ellie and her friends are back, and they're now it's called Recycling Adventure to the Scrapyard. And so they go around town and they find out, well, first of all, they find out that people are throwing metal in the garbage. So they're really sad. They're like, we got to do something about this. And they learn a little bit about the periodic table of elements and how our planet has a lot of metal on it, and it's made out of ore and metal items. So they're like, okay, we're gonna help. Like they find out people are throwing metal in garbage, so they get the little red wagons, and Ellie's got her little sister Ellie in there, or Lexi in there. She's pulling her around. They go through all the neighborhood, and they're teaching all their neighbors to stop throwing metal in the garbage, and they're going to collect it and raise money for their school. So they find horseshoes and unicorn shoes and washer and dryers, pots and pans, all sorts of good stuff. And they put all their metal in Daddy's little beat up pickup truck, and they have a little rock band. It's super cute.
Oh.
And the Recycling Rocks poster, but just fun book for kids. And they learn the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous, so if it's magnetic or not magnetic. And they basically take it to the scrapyard, and poor Daddy's truck breaks down, so they actually get to recycle his truck and learn about car shredders. So it's just kind of cool. The boys like this one a lot. And so, yeah, they raise some money for their school. The third book we're going to do is going to show the melting process of how all the metal gets melted down. And then the fourth book will be manufacturing. So the old cans are now new cans, or a NASCAR, or an airplane, and the steel cans can be a washer and dryer. Like we just want to show like all the different possibilities of what metal, like all your wires here, like in this room, these headphones all have metal inside. So when they die and they have a short in it, don't throw it in the garbage. Like your Christmas lights, those all have metal inside. You can actually take it to the scrapyard and make some money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of education that is missing. Like on my end, for example, I know that I'm not the only one. That if I don't know it, how am I going to pass that to my daughter? How am I going to be able to pass it on to everyone around me? And so I think that what you do is beautiful. I think that is super cool that you are providing the space and the tools for people to learn it in a way that is organic. I think that your approach is so much easier than if it was on school and it was like homework and it was too technical to the point where you don't have that actually personal investment on it. But on a format like this from 2 little ones, I think is so important. And now that you have this structure of how you're going to do the first, the second, third, and fourth book, I think that it's a beautiful project where you're working on. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the future book I have down in the works coming up, we want to do a Scuba Jess book. So my alter ego Scuba Jess will be a little cartoon, and she's going to do a cleanup dive in the oceans and show all the amazing sea creatures here in the Pacific Northwest for kids, and so that they can actually learn that we have a really like the world's giant Pacific octopus, the world's largest octopus right here in our backyard. We have 6-scale sharks. We have like Pacific spiny lumpsuckers, which are the world's cutest fish. I have pictures of all these animals on our website and stuff, but yeah, just amazing sea creatures right there in our backyard. Unfortunately, we also have like really amazing sea stars, but they have all been dying. When I started diving in 2014, it was called a sea star wasting disease, and that's when that started happening. And we used to have sunflower sea stars everywhere, like huge sea stars and ochre stars, these beautiful sea stars, and they all just started dying right in front of my eyes on these dives. And that's kind of what also inspired me to start this company, and just being like, our oceans need our help now. They can't wait around, and like we need to stop only caring about ourselves and caring about others on our planet. And like just the simplest actions of just recycling your cans. Like if you recycle an aluminum can, it takes 95% less energy to make a new can out of recycled aluminum, so they don't have to mine it out of the planet again. And so like that's a huge savings, and that's something anybody can do. And you could just put it in a blue bin for free and be a nice person, or if you want to save them up and take it to your scrapyard, they'll pay you for it by the pound. So it's usually about 35 cans for a pound. But yeah, and just like I went for a walk this morning. I picked up 16 cigarette butts.
Wow.
I found 4 cans. Just like, I mean, if everybody was just doing this, if we all went for a walk every day or once a week, I always bring a bag and gloves, fill up your bag, and then go home and like recycle whatever you can recycle and throw the rest away. But just make sure it's not going into the storm drains, and that'll really help our animals.
It's a city. We in a city environment. And then it's very interesting. I'm from Mexico City, and so when I came to this area, I saw the volume of nature and just how beautiful everything is. And I'm always been intrigued by the concept of how can we keep it clean when we live in a city, And then, but yeah, you're right. I think it's not just the consciousness of picking up the trash when you see it, but also not drop everything. Don't throw anything and just be
Mindful
that.
of that.
Yeah, because you're picking it up, but there are people who are actually throwing it and they
Yes.
have no
I feel like when I was,
awareness.
yeah, awareness. Like when I was a little, but when I was a little kid, I feel like I always remember people talking about don't be a litter bug, don't be a litter bug, keep America beautiful, or what it was like posters and stuff. And that kind of went away for some reason. And then I think during COVID, like things just got so bad and everybody just stopped caring about everything. And like just the garbage explosion out in the Seattle area. Like when you're driving down the freeway and you look on the side of the road, there's just cans everywhere, there's garbage everywhere. And like, and I know there's a really super sad homeless problem, which isn't helping. But I mean, that's not, we can't blame all of this on homeless people or people on drugs. Like everybody is doing it and everybody can help. Like I saw a quote somewhere that it may not be my garbage, but this is my planet. And we can all help. And like if little kids can teach their parents not to throw a can in the garbage or their grandparents, they might actually listen to that kid. And if we can teach kids like, this is our planet, let's take care of it, let's love it. And they see somebody like done with their fast food, McDonald's, whatever, and they're going to throw their wrapper out the window when they're driving, just be like, no, don't do that. Like just save it for 5 minutes till you find a garbage can. Like it's not that hard. So you just have to think about it. And I like to tell people like, when you're buying something, like first of all, reduce as much as possible. Don't buy things if you don't need them. Reuse as much as possible. Bring reusable water bottles and fill them up. If you don't have one and you have to buy something, try to pick the metal one instead of the plastic one because the metal could be recycled forever. I found out we only recycle 45% of cans in this country, which is just crazy. Like Brazil just got to 100%. And isn't that amazing? And Germany's at like 99%. I'm like, Brazil can do it. We can do it. And so, yeah, let's just teach our little kids like fun and easy ways they can help. And then maybe they're going to change the mindset. And when like somebody is thinking about throwing their garbage out the window, hopefully they'll like think about it for a second and just think about the amazing giant Pacific octopus that's down in the ocean. He does not want your cigarette butts. Like he does not want your candy wrappers. Like, yeah, just don't do it, people. Just remember to not litter and recycle. And yeah, it would actually really help. I find most of my trash underwater near boat launches. So I think a lot of people in boats, like before they take it out of the ocean, they like throw all their stuff overboard. And also a lot of people eat lunch and stuff on the beach. And then we have huge tidal exchanges here. And so they might be eating at low tide. And then when the water comes back in, it's going to take all that out. And so we just have to be mindful of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we can do to improve what we're doing. I admire you. I'm admiring all the work that you're doing, and then the conviction and determination to make a difference and to do something about the marine the marine life that we get around here, but also for us as an individuals. I'm sure that it gets a bit frustrating, and I'm sure you get mad at times.
I get so mad. Like every time, like today I got 16 cigarette butts and I went on a walk yesterday, the exact same route, and I got 8. And I'm just like, it's so bad for your lungs, but I'm just like, I'm just like, if every smoker, like, I'm not going to tell you to quit smoking, even though it's bad for your lungs, like just take care of yourself. But if you could just like keep a jar in your car or like a metal tin can, like a coffee can, and just put your cigarette butts just in that can and then throw them away properly, like that would make such a huge difference, because I feel like the number one litter I see is cigarette butts, like everywhere. And they're just so small and they're very lightweight. So as soon as it rains, they go down into the storm drains into the oceans. And so like, I also see a lot of floss toothpick things, like, little individual flossers, like all over the side of the roads. And I see a lot of those in the ocean.
Wow.
And so like, those are like lightweight things that just get really washed in there. And so just like, yeah, just keep those in your car and clean it out. And yeah, it's just easy. It just takes a little bit of that time and effort. Just if everybody could just stop being like 10% less lazy and just, care about the planet just a little bit extra, it would be great.
Yeah. And what is, I was watching this thing where it says that we do things in a very routine way, and we kind follow, we have a routine, we have our habits, we have a way of how we engage in general. It takes 5%. I mean, that is 95% of what we do is already an integrated routine, either in the way we speak, the way we think, the way we engage with people, the way we go through our everyday life. It's 5%. The only 5% in your mind is that the one that you had to push and break the habit. So if you had the habit of throwing the trash, you had to reach out to that 5% of your brain to really make the effort. Like when you say, hey, I'm going to do a different diet, I need to be better, healthy. You had to get to that 5% of you. And it actually was my blowing how hard. That's probably why it is such a hard thing for so many people to break the habit of just break stop. And
so
then
easy to do it, but it's just like, just.
no, I know. But I guess, so I don't want you to be too frustrated because it's gonna get
It's okay. It's gonna be okay. That's my motto in life. Everything is gonna be okay. And if we all just help just a little bit, just change like 1% of your ways, and like if that'll add up, if everybody changed 1%, everybody picked up one can or one cigarette per week, like I don't even know, like just start small, right? Like when you're doing diet, don't go like full force all at once because you're never gonna do it. You're gonna do it for like a day and then you're gonna stop. So just baby steps, just
little
into
pieces.
it. And it's so much easier to pick up garbage on land than underwater. Like when I have my 90 pounds of dive gear on and I have a limited amount of air in my tank, I can't stay deep for very long, right? It's dangerous. So you don't want to overdo yourself underwater getting garbage. And it's actually kind of fun. It's like a treasure hunt, right? But on land, it's actually fun too. Like me and my guy, like this morning we were on a walk, and it's like an adult Easter egg hunt. Like we're just out there like, ooh, there's one, like we're just going running around getting it. So it can actually be a lot of fun once you get going. You just have to like get in that mindset of making it fun instead of just being like mad and angry that this is happening. Like, it's all about perspective.
That's true. And it gives you the gratification knowing that you're making a difference. And then it's something good. As one of the sources of happiness is actually selfless actions that you might think that the number one area where you will be super happy will be like self-gratification. But you'll get that. But the largest percentage of people that actually have that constant sense of happiness is from people that are giving, and that's like volunteering or cleaning or environment or doing something for your schools or whatever. And so congratulations for a beautiful, not only beautiful project, but also for the values that you're sharing with us. And hopefully people out there listening are like, hey, it is a real issue. It's a real thing. Tell me a little bit more about how, I know I don't want to go too technical on this one, but the animals that we got in the marine environment that we're living in.
Puget Sound area, the Salish Sea here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we have the most amazing sea creatures here in the cold water. We actually have there's more life in cold water than warm water because we have more oxygen and nutrients. There's a lot of upwellings that bring nutrients from the deep ocean up here. And we have a lot of current that runs through the area. So like one of my favorite places to dive is the Deception Pass Bridge underneath there. If you ever go up to Anacortes and you look down on that bridge, you'll just see like huge swirlpools and like, it's crazy. It looks like a really fast river going through there. That's like the top of Whidbey Island. It connects Whidbey Island up. And so there's this really amazing bridge. And when you go diving down there, just the amount of life, like the walls are just covered. It's just beautiful, bright pinks and orange anemones and tube worms and hydroids and glassy plumes and all sorts of little crabs and shrimps and little sculpins, which are little cute fish that kind of hop around. And they like our dive lights because they can see like some food like plankton in the water. So they'll like follow us around with our dive lights and they'll eat by our lights. And it's just super, super cute. And we have like the most amazing, like when I dive at Alkay Beach, if we do night dives, there's a lot of seals that will come dive with us.
Wow.
Super cute. They like our flashlights too because we'll light up the fish and then they'll go munch on the fish. So I feel bad for the fish. And like, kind of like a mixed emotions, but the seal is so happy. And then like we love to do night dives because the octopus come out at night. We have really cute Pacific little red octopus that are just hiding in all the old bottles and they're just so fun. Like just any dive you get to hang out with an octopus is like the best dive ever. I got lucky enough to actually see newborn baby octopus hatch, giant Pacific babies, and they were like the size of a grain of rice. They're just so tiny. And they only live about 4 years and they get from super tiny grain of rice size to like 14 feet when they're full grown. And I think I heard a statistic, they have about 10,000 eggs or 10,000 babies, but maybe only 4 of them will actually live to have their own eggs and be on eggs again. So it's like that the ocean is a very crazy place. Everybody's like waiting. Like when I saw the baby octopus hatching, there were all the crabs and fish were waiting outside the den to eat the babies when they were coming out.
Oh my God.
Really sad. Like everybody eats each other underwater. Like first the crabs will eat the baby octopus and then the octopus gets big enough and then they'll eat the crabs. So it's just like so interesting to see that dynamic, like what's going on down there. But it's just so much fun. We have like really awesome shrimp up in the San Juan Islands and Anacortes called candy stripe shrimp. Those are probably one of my favorite. They're kind of translucent, but they have like red, blue, and yellow stripes on them. They're so cute. And I call the babies sprinkles because it's like candy had the babies, they're sprinkles. And just, yeah, we just have like just the coolest sea creatures. We have orcas. I wear my orca dress today. I've seen them from the dive boat before. I haven't seen them underwater, but apparently they swam over me when I was diving in the Salmon Islands.
Wow.
I was taking pictures of like a tiny nudibranch, so I was like macro mode of my camera. I'm like all zoomed in on this little sea slug. And I popped up from my dive and the beach was full of people. And I turned around, all these whale watching boats are back there. And they're like, 3 pods of orcas just swam over you. And I'm like, oh, of course they did. Like, I was probably here. And there's probably like orca like right above my head. And I didn't even see it. But I did hear like a weird, like chirping kind of squeaking sound. And I was like, oh, it's like my camera. Because I had a different kind of strobe arm on my camera. I was borrowing from my friend. And so I'm like, oh, such a weird sound. Like, what was that? And it was probably a whale. One of my other favorite whale experiences was up diving in Port McNeill up on Vancouver Island. We had some humpback whales circling our dive boat for like 45 minutes, eating all these krill. There was like the water was almost boiling. These little baby shrimps that were like popping up, and the humpback whales were just feasting. It was a mom and baby, and it was so cute. And so we waited till they like moved off, and then we went and did our dive. And underwater, I could hear the humpback whales. It was so magical. And then when I got up from my dive, before I could get onto the boat, the whales were back and they were circling our boat again. So like I was here and the whale was like almost where you were. Like it was so close. It was so cool. That was one of my coolest dives ever and just magical. Like we just have the most amazing animals and I just love them so much and I just want to help them. And I think if we can all just like remember when we were kids, like our favorite sea creatures and just harness that and just think about every day, like what you're doing in your life, like how you can help those sea creatures. Like just, put that in the back of your brain and just be like, oh, do I need to buy this candy bar wrapped in 4 layers of plastic? Probably not. But you can, or if you can, just dispose of it properly. But yeah, just try to think positively and see how you can help.
I'm trying to imagine, I'm trying to capture in my brain what it would be to be under the water and seeing all experience and everything that you're experiencing. So I'm just, I don't know what to say on that one. I do hope to have the opportunity to go underwater and really experience that.
I'd love to take you diving or even just snorkeling and I could like show you with a flashlight. Like if you do go snorkeling or diving, definitely bring a light because as soon as you shine your light on stuff, the color comes out just amazing. And it's just so great. But yeah, in this area, we have very extreme tides and currents and so definitely always go with somebody experienced or check the tide charts. And then it's very cold. So make sure you're wearing a dry suit or if you're crazy, a wetsuit. But don't just like, I don't know. Actually, I do see some crazy people swimming at Alki Beach, like out there in their swimsuits. I don't know how they do it. I would totally die. But yeah, just be safe. But when you take the proper training and you're ready to go diving, like or snorkeling or whatever, I would totally love to show you around and just show you some of our amazing sea creatures. And yeah, we're so lucky up here. I usually go like 2 or 3 times a week. It's just like
often.
Every Thursday night. That's actually how I met your friends. I was diving right here in Burien at Three Tree Point. It's one of my favorite dive sites. And they have Pacific spiny lumpsuckers. They're lumpies and they're so cute. And so, yeah, I just got out of the water and I met some people that worked in at the Burien City Hall, I think. And they're like, oh, what do you do? Like, what did you see down there? So I'm like, bust out my phone. I'm like, here, I love to show people like all the amazing sea creatures. I'm like scrolling through all my photos. I'm like, look at this lumpy. Isn't this so cute? And so that's how we got connected. And I'm so thankful for that because I'm so glad I got to meet you and just see your amazing museum here. And I can't wait to like hopefully have like a scuba display so everybody can come see some of our pictures and maybe some of the ocean treasure I saved.
No, yeah, I think it would be wonderful to not only have an area that we can display what it is to be under the water here locally, but then also like to talk about, all the different topics that we address in today. Hopefully we get a program or a presentation or something. But in the meantime, I'm just so happy that you're here and that we can do this interview. One of the questions that I always have is the octopus. Why? I mean, when I think about water, I don't see it as that deep. I always think about because we're between islands, and then I don't know why I feel that the seafloor is shallow. I don't see it as deep, but then then seems like it's not true. It's more.
No, I mean, we're definitely like on a shelf. And so like some of the beaches are gradually going downhill, and then there will be kind of like a drop off, like a big wall that will go down hundreds of feet. So yeah, no, the Puget Sound definitely gets very deep out in the middle. And like, I mean, I think submarines go through there and stuff. So yeah, definitely gets deeper, but I don't like to go super deep because the deeper you go, it kind of feels like you're drunk. It's called nitrogen narcosis, and your brain like doesn't fire as fast because of the pressure. And some divers like that feeling. I don't like it. I feel like there's like a big shark behind me, which is awesome, but then also kind of creepy. So I'm like, no, I don't want that. So I like to stay a little shallower, like, and there's more light in the shallows too, like 60 feet or above. But I mean, yeah, you can go deeper, but I don't know. I don't really see like people like to go down and see like deep shipwrecks and old crashed airplanes, and some people are really into that. I'm a critter geek. I want to see all of the sea creatures, and like you can find those even pretty shallows. Like a lot of my friends are called beach naturalists, and so they'll go out like low tide days. I think they work for the Seattle Aquarium, and they'll go out with like flashlights, and if it's like a nighttime low tide, and they'll turn some of the rocks over carefully and show people who aren't divers like the sea creatures, and they can even see like nudibranchs and anemones and all sorts of cool stuff just on land. But like as soon as you get underwater and the water is moving and those sea creatures just come back to life and they're moving and they're interacting, and it's magical.
Wow. Well, honestly, I do believe that there's a completely different planet under the water, and it just how, in my case, and I think a lot of the people that I know, there's very, very minimum education as to what is to be around this beautiful, marine life.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. We got 5 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
I know that was fast.
That was really fast. Thank you for all your listeners for listening to me chat for so long. My exciting announcement, well, I have a couple, but right now I'm hosting a can recycling contest. So my company, Scrap University Kids, we basically connect elementary schools and their local scrap yards. And so we have scrap yards bring a big bin to the school parking lot so the kids could just take their cans to school and fill it up. So it's super easy for them, and parents, everybody in the community can help. And so I have 8 schools. This is the first time we're doing it. It's like Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Indiana, like states that don't recycle. My school in Mississippi has 130,000 cans. I think Kentucky and Texas and Indiana are all over 100,000 cans since October. My contest, I just got updated can total today. We're up to 583,000 cans, so over 500,000. We're trying to get to 1 million by May. I don't know if we can do it, but next year when school starts again in the fall, or like in this September when school season starts, I want to try to get a school either in like Bellevue or Seattle or Renton, somewhere in the area. So I'll let you know so that everybody in the area can just start saving their cans and give it to their local school. And then the schools get to keep all of the money. Our sponsors are buying books for all the 3rd graders at the school so they can read the books and share it with their friends and families, and everybody can go look for cans to recycle. So it's just gonna be a lot of fun.
Wow.
And yeah, just if we have a free metal recycling class for kids on our website. Our website is kids.scrapuniversity.com. And our books are on sale right now. We're having a spring sale, 10% off. All of our books are printed in New Jersey by Book Baby, so they're made in America. And yeah, if you guys want to support a local scuba diver, local author, self-published, just go to our website. We have coloring pages on there you can print off to go along with the books. And we have like a little metal scavenger hunt so the kids can actually learn about the different metal items and then go out and like look for them and check them off their list. We have can recycling bingo cards, just a lot of fun.
So you do like to have fun. I mean, you seem like you have fun with education. It's almost like this right next to each other, one-on-one. Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to do this interview and to learn more a little bit about you, but then also the work that you're doing, and then the things that we can do to improve, a quality of life. And then it's just not because it's us, but because we're part of something bigger, and also to, give and share and protect as much as we can. And so thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And thanks for everyone for listening. And thanks for having me at the Highline Heritage Museum. If you guys are ever in the area, I definitely recommend stopping by. This place has the coolest stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for promoting that. And thank you, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation and just to see how amazing she is. So
thanks. And I always like to say live long and prosper at the end. So
well, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LP FM. We envision ourselves sitting at a round table where no one is the leader and stories are heard respectfully, regardless of gender, age, sexual orientation, disabilities, or ethnicity. Our mission is we collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people. We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices represents us all, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and uniting to cultivate our future. This project allows us to reach out to demographics who might be unable to visit the museum. People with disabilities, low-income families, people who don't trust museums, and more. In partnership, we are launching a locally programmed new radio station at the museum, featuring recorded and live Highline's heritage, history, culture, arts, and more. Are you interested in sharing your story? Email director@highlinemuseum.org.